Okay, so today I'd like to talk about how we're going to finish our window tables. We've got all the window tables glued up, everything's sanded. We actually applied the first coat of the Seal-A-Cell last night. They're dry this morning. Let me first talk a little bit about the profiles that we used in the tables. The legs received a 3/16 round over on all four sides. They also received a chamfer, a 3/16 chamfer on the bottom of the legs, all the way around, of course. The lower aprons received a 1/16 round over bit all the way around on all four sides. And the upper apron received a 3/16 inch beading bit to get that profile. The tops, we did a bull nose on them, and we did a 1/2 inch round over, flipped it, did a 1/2 inch round over the other side to achieve the bull nose. And that's all the profiles we used. So let's talk about what we're going to do as far as finish. First of all the tables were sanded to 180 grit, fairly smooth. Like I said last night, our first step usually is to use the General Finishes Seal-A-Cell, which seals everything. I think it gives a little smoother finish. Ultimately, what I really think it does is speed the drying process up. Without using Seal-A-Cell, the first coat of Armor Seal can take up to 12 hours to dry sometimes, depending upon the wood, humidity conditions, things like that. I know some of you may get different results. But with using the Seal-A-Cell, I'm ready to sand and put on the second coat in 4 to 6 hours, no problem. So I think that's probably the single biggest benefit from using Seal-A-Cell. I know there's others. I think, like I said, I think the finish ultimately is better, a little smoother. But ultimately, I think it's the drying time is, for me anyways, is what I find the most beneficial. So anyways, we put one coat of Seal-A-Cell on. Some people say use 2 or 3 or 4 coats. I just use one. And then we'll sand this, just a light sanding before we put our first coat of Armor Seal on. Now Armor Seal is your top coat. It's a oil-based finish. It's very durable, very strong. I myself have been using it for 20 plus years. It's been a long time since I discovered this once I gave up polyurethane. It's a finish that has a lot of versatility. You can build it to however thick you want it, to whatever look you want. It comes in a number of finishes. This is semi-gloss. I believe it comes in a gloss, and I believe it comes in a satin, if I'm not mistaken. There's three different sheen levels. I like the semi-gloss. There's pick your poison, whatever you like. We'll probably do 3, maybe 4 coats of the Armor Seal. I'll show you how to apply it here just in a little bit. It'll be the next part of the video. I just use a rag. I use these rags that I get from one of the big box stores, and they're just cotton wiping cloths, and they come this big. I cut them in half, and that's all I use. Now you can use anything. You can use t-shirts. I've used t-shirts. I've used wax applicators. Those work pretty good. They're a little pricey. So I find these wiping cloths are economical, and you can get a big bag like this. There's 55 in this pack, and I think they're like $10 if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, of course we'll sand in between coats. Everyone knows that's done any type of finishing out there, it's a lengthy process. It's not something you can get done in an afternoon. It takes a while. So we're going to go ahead and sand these tables down. I got a couple little glue spots we got to fix, and when we get ready to apply the first coat of the armor seal, we'll demonstrate that, how to do it. I get a lot of questions on how do you do it, how thick do you do it, things like that. How does it level itself? It's easier than you think. My advice with it is to apply it as sparingly as possible. You don't want to build. You're not going to build up the first coat. You're not going to build up your finish on the first coat. It's going to take minimally 3. I usually say between 3 and 6, depending upon the wood, depending upon the finish you're going for, that kind of thing. But between 3 and 6, I normally get by between 3 and 4. But there are some times where, I might have gone a little too sparingly on my first couple coats and need another coat or two to get it to the right build level. So anyways, we'll be doing that and showing you how to finish these. And I think they're going to come out really nice. They look really good. Like I said, these tables have already had 1 coat of the Seal-A-Cell on them. And they look real good. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Thanks. And once again, if you like what you see, please hit the like button and subscribe for me. That'd be a great little Christmas present. Thanks. Have a great day. Let's talk about finishes, the best part of the project, because this is where all your work comes together and you get to show it off with the finish that you put on it. It can be very daunting because messing up a finish is not very good. It kind of messes up your work. So let's talk a little bit about what I use for my work. Now, there's a lot of different stuff out there. You can use polyurethane, there's oils, there's waters, there's lacquers, there's shellac, I can't think of much else, paint. I guess you could use paint if you wanted to paint something. But for what we're going to do here, I'm using General Finishes Armor Seal. This is a semi-gloss version of it. And it's an oil-based finish. It's a wipe-on finish. And it's very durable. It survives a lot of different things. It's not immune to water stains or anything like that. It doesn't really bother it. Not that I've seen in my time using it. And I've been using it for probably 20, 25 years. So it's very, very durable product. Now, will it scratch? Sure, it'll scratch. I mean, anything will scratch. Unless it's concrete or something like that. Even concrete will scratch, but I'm just saying it's very durable. For most use, it's going to be just fine. So we're going to be using that for the top coat, and I want to talk a little bit about wood fillers because I haven't really mentioned this. What I use. Someone asked me what kind of wood filler I use, and in the past I've used things from the big box stores that you buy. Everybody's purchased there. I have, you have, and they work. They tend to dry out kind of quick, I think, and they don't take stain very well or finishes very well. I don't think either. So a few years ago, I was in search of something and I stumbled upon this stuff called Timbermate. Now it's made in Australia. It has an unlimited shelf life. It comes in a multitude of different tints or colors, pre-mixed or pre-tinted. This one's walnut, this one's mahogany, this one's red oak, this one's cherry, and this one is tintable. So it's a tint base that you can take your oil base or water base tints, dyes, and tint to whatever you're working on to make it a perfect match for you. So that's really kind of nice. It's not that expensive. I think these tubes or tubs or jars or whatever you want to call them, they're plastic. They just have plastic lids. And I think they're $7, maybe $7, $8, something like that. You can find them. Timbermate. So check those out. They're real good for wood filler. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We've got one of the tops for the window table projects. And we're going to put a coat of armor seal on it. I'm going to be using a wiping cloth. You can buy these just about anywhere. I bought this one at one of the big box stores. They come in a pack like this. That's the economy pack. I think there's like 55 in here, and they work great. I've been using them for a while. You can use anything you want. You can use a brush, a foam brush. I've used those before. Don't really like foam brushes. They leave too many streaks, and you can't work it fast enough, in my opinion. I don't really like it. I've used wax applicators like you use on a car. Those are okay, but they soak up too much stuff, and they drag too much. It's not a smooth wipe. What else have I used? Regular paintbrush. I've even tried a roller. Didn't like that. The best thing I found is these little wipes. You can work quick with them. You can soak up enough material or enough product to get it wet and have a little wicking going on with the product to keep it flowing. Anyways, you can choose what you want to use. A lot of it's just trial and error experiment. I mean, I've been doing this for, like I said, 25 years with this product, so I've tried just about anything I can try. I've never tried to spray it. I do have a friend of mine that has sprayed it before and said it was wonderful, it worked great. I don't have anything to spray with, so I don't have that capability, but let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is put some gloves on. Not that this stuff is toxic, but it may be. There's a lot of chemicals in it, so who knows. I just don't like to get my hands all gummed up with that and then have to wash them off with mineral spirits. And I know some of you may be crying right now for me, but I got in the habit of wearing gloves when I was doing a lot of stain or dyeing, just dyeing with liquid dye. And once you get dye on your hands once, you'll wear gloves, trust me, because you can't get dye off. It takes a while. It just has to wear away. You can't scrub it off. You can't do anything. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to move this stuff aside so you can get a better view. And here's my armor seal. Let me give that a little swish. I'm going to wipe this off one more time just to make sure we didn't get anything on it. And then we'll take our armor seal and I like to dip mine about halfway down just so I have a little bit to wick into the other side. I'm going to squeeze a lot of this out. I put it on wet. You can see how it's going on, or maybe you can't. I don't know. I usually put it on very thin because I don't like to deal with runs. So I've learned in my career that you can put it on thick and it looks a little better right off the bat. But when you got to deal with runs, and of course I'm not going to deal with runs because this is a flat surface, but you can see I'm just kind of working it in, going around the edges. And you can't work this for too long. You've got a few minutes, and then it'll start to get kind of sticky on you, and you don't want that. So this is the second coat I'm putting on this, and it's done. And all I'm doing is very light pressure, and that's all it is. It's done. Very light pressure. Just going back and forth, getting the edges. Very light coat. You're building coats on this. It's not like painting where you're going to put one coat covers all. Of course, I have a fly right now. I was trying to get to it. You're building coats. Okay, so you're just taking nice thin layers. When this is dry in 4 to 6 hours, maybe a little longer. It's a little cold out, although the garage is warm. I'll sand it again with 220, 320, and then give it another coat, okay? Until I achieve that look that I want. Now, how do you know when you're done? It's a gut call. I mean, you've got to just look at the piece and see what it looks like. I don't like a real heavy look. I don't like it real plasticky, real polyurethane-y. I don't like that look. I want to feel the wood through it. I don't want it to look like it's covered in plastic. So I'm more of a minimalist. I'll go less than more. But typically, this is the second coat. Typically somewhere between 3 and 5 coats. Usually 3. On tops, sometimes 4, only because it's a top. And I know it's going to take more abuse. So, but typically between 3 and 5 coats. But really it's a judgment call, like I said, for you and your project. Whatever your project looks like to you, you have to make that call. And it'll change over time. At first, I used to like real heavy, thick stuff. So yeah, I would put on 6, 7, 8 coats and think it looked great. And it did, it looked fine. But over time, I've kind of changed my thinking on that. And I don't like it that thick anymore. I like it more natural, more of a realist kind of look. Or I don't know what you want to call it, but just more of a natural look, I guess. Providing protection without looking like it's been soaked in epoxy or polyurethane. So anyways, that's it for that. We'll come back when everything's finished, because we've already got the tables, the stands, the bases on their second coat. We've got the third coat coming up on those. I'm not going to bore you with that because that's just repetitiveness. We're just doing the same thing over and over again. So once we get everything finished, we'll take a look at how everything came out. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you gained some information and I was helpful to you. And once again, subscribe to the channel if you would, please. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.